Coming up on tonight's UAP News Show.
Eye on the sky, unveiling over 50 new UFO encounters.
AARO is under new command. Knapp and Corbell's take on Jon Kosloski.
JFK, UFOs, and Trump, the files that could shock the nation.
And the countdown begins. James Fox's The Program Is Coming.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of UAP Society's weekly UAP and UFO News Show. We are stoked to get started, so without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Greetings, cosmic enthusiasts. It's Justin here. Let's dive right in.
All right, happy September, everybody! With the fall quickly approaching and promised UAP hearings on the horizon, 2024 is winding down. We've still got so many things to look forward to and are grateful for the opportunity to discuss them with you.
First up, Eye on the Sky unveiling over 50 new UFO encounters. Buckle up for revelations that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. In this story, we will uncover the mysteries of a New York-based civilian scientific study called Eye on the Sky, which focuses on unraveling the UFO phenomena.
On Twitter, user Courtney said, from David Metcalf, Eye on the Sky was a year-long investigative field research study of significant importance. It was conducted at Robert Moses State Park, a barrier island. It began in July 2022 and continued to July 2023 off the south shore of Long Island, New York. This location is known for its unique environmental conditions and potential for discovering unexplained aerial phenomena based on a significant number of retrospective UAP cases reported off of America's coastline.
Featuring never-before-seen footage of UAPs operating off the Long Island coast, this next clip from The Good Trouble Show with Matt Ford brings together its founding members Gary and John Tedesco and Donna Lee Nardo. With over 50 documented UFO encounters, these witnesses came with receipts and are ready to share them with the rest of us.
And as far as the New York State Park permit, which we had to obtain. You can get a permit to be in the New York State parks, any of them in New York State, which Robert Moses is one. It's on Fire Island. It's on a federal land, but it's governed and controlled by and maintained by New York State. So we did have to seek a New York State permit, and we did for scientific purpose. That's one of the reasons you can get such a permit. You could also get a stargazer permit if you want to just watch the stars with your telescope. We saw a lot of people doing that, and they were always curious as to what we were up to. It was very interesting. And then the other thing, and again, I kind of harped on it before, but John developed contacts with the Coast Guard and also with the FCC, and he was able to obtain, something that's pretty phenomenal, and that's the X-band, right, John, the radar?
Yes, X-band radar, yeah.
He worked to get that FCC license, and that just made all the difference. In addition to the Nightcrawler, both of them, and all of the wonderful, gorgeous, helpful instruments, and of course John and Jerry's knowledge as engineers to create this and then get to know the instruments so well to be able to tweak them, build on them. But getting that radar was really, that's something that differentiates, I think, this civilian study, right? Because it's a civilian study.
I love that. Yeah, that is just fantastic. So so yesterday, the three of you provided us with quite a few videos. I understand you have cataloged something like over 50 UAP encounters at these different spots, and of course you've taped most of these. So what I'd like to do is start going through some of these things. Feel free to step in and narrate and tell us what we're looking at. Okay, great. So here's the first one. So this thing is it's some kind of cube. So let's have a look. So tell us what we're looking at here.
Okay, so what you're looking at here, Matthew, is it's a magnified view of an object that was over the water. What was interesting is that the approximate the distance that we were looking at, it looked like it was about 500 meters away. But using the LiDAR, we got an interesting reflection back, and it happened multiple times. Every time I was able to hit the object with the LiDAR beam, and the way to visualize that is by using a night vision scope attached to it. So
that's the beam coming from the right there. That's that's the LiDAR.
So
okay.
Working that, you'll actually see there's some reflection of the object too within the beam.
Wow.
But every time that beam had hit that object, I was getting a distance measurement that didn't quite make a lot of sense. It would come back at 44, 45 feet away. This happened multiple times, and we tried this with several different LiDAR systems, and we're getting pretty much the same result. Why that is, we can't really say.
Our assumption is there may be some kind of signature management. It might be maybe a jamming the LiDAR beam itself, or stopping it short of hitting the target by maybe some field around it. And if you notice, you'll see it looks like it's rotating. It's rotating.
Right.
Mm-hmm. When these objects are not in a luminous state, you're observing it with night vision, you can definitely see some kind of polyhedral shape to it that is rotating.
One thing I'd like to add is sometimes we would see objects multiple in somewhat of a formation, and it almost seemed like one would decrease its luminosity and the next one would get a bit brighter, then decrease it. And it's like they did a tag team act. We saw that a few times.
Yeah, right. Wow. And I also want to say that there are times that when we're using the LiDAR beam or even a torch flashlight in the visible light, if we paint the object with a beam of light, we've seen sudden movements of these objects at an incredible velocity,
trying to evade
the beam itself.
Yeah, and clearly this is not a seagull or an aircraft, because you can't see it with your naked eye.
Right. Yeah. And if just a fraction of a second before, you did see a bird that had passed the field of view.
And that's something we had looked at. And we had looked at every object in that environment, in that area from aircraft. We have identified the lighting systems, the configurations of them. Seagulls are most often seen there. Seagulls have a large wingspan. The wingspan is larger than the body mass itself. And when those wings are flapping, you get an oscillation. You'll easily see in the
and the other thing is you'll hear it in the acoustic sensor.
Yeah, we have the acoustic.
If we have the parabolic dish aimed at it, you'll definitely hear the wing, the motion of the wings, the air motion under the wings and so forth. We also use if it's a ship of some sort, and we have seen that before, where you'd have on the superstructures of the ship, you'd have these navigation lights that you could see. We can pick that up with radar, and that's easily detectable with the X-band radar that we have, either the X scan or the Y scan, the vertical scan. So we'll detect that. We'll see that. The other thing we'll use is thermal cameras with the optical zoom. So we'll look at it and see if there's a heat signature. If it's a ship, you'll see the fuselage. You'll see the heating coming off the lighting systems on it. You'll see the cold water around it. And we use different palettes, different patterns to identify that.
Understood. Okay, let's watch the next clip that we have here.
Okay, so this was an object that was seen roughly about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. What we noticed was the object itself, it was difficult to see in the visible spectrum, but we had the night vision, we had the starvis senses. We used a planetary camera on this, and we were able to see the kaleidoscopic color. But we noticed that the object showed rotation, and there was another object just above it that seemed to be coming down through the clouds. And the two objects, when we looked at it frame by frame, it almost looked like the two objects had merged together and synchronized their rotation.
Now I'm gonna stop it here, because it looks like on the top right is just like at its 2 o'clock. Is that another object, or is it shining a light on the cloud?
Yeah, we believe it's another. No, we looked at that, and we looked even with our cameras. We could see the beams of light of an aircraft or an aircraft in the nose. There's no beams of light, and this light was as intense as the object itself.
Right, and the other thing if you look at the object that's rotating with a luminous side to it, you would see that fluctuation of light on the cloud.
Yeah, you would see that movement of light. The other thing, if you look, it also looks like a polyhedron. That thing's rotating, and like I said, that light would be fluctuating if it was a light being emitted from an aircraft.
Right. So these two objects, like I said, we analyzed it frame by frame. Yeah. And these objects almost look like they're cohesed together. And the rotation of the one object had slowed down. It looked like they synchronized together.
Amazing. And again, I want to point out as well, that much of what we are showing you, this footage is the very first time this has been shown publicly, correct?
Yes.
Okay, amazing, because we have tons of stuff here.
All right, so that video was really cool. I highly recommend going over to the Good Trouble Show with Matt Ford channel and watching the whole thing, because they went through a shit ton of those videos. I tried to clip it down to just like a really small little snippet for you guys to get a little sample taste of. But yeah, I really recommend going and checking out the rest of that. And then I'd like to talk about the ones that we did see together. So what do you think? I mean, I have some points that I want to make, but I want to hear yours before I make mine.
All right. So I thought that first video was pretty interesting. It's interesting to me that the LiDAR return they were getting back was saying that it was only 45 feet away, but it looks like it's much farther away.
Yes.
Visibly.
Yes.
So,
doesn't that give you Skinwalker Ranch vibes?
That gives me Tic Tac vibes, you know, from the Tic Tac encounter, because those jets, their radar systems were not able to tell how far away that object was. And, you know, we infer that the object was capable of some kind of signal management, basically spoofing the radar, or not, I mean, not spoofing it, but making the radar think that it's a lot farther away, or not able to determine how far away it is.
I know.
You know?
I don't know how the UAPs do that, but it seems that they have a way to mess with the equipment to give you readings that don't really make sense.
I just had a thought.
What?
All right, so.
Ooh.
All right, so we know how it's speculated that these UAP are operating within some type of gravity bubble, that the time for them is different from the time for us. And the way these LiDAR systems work, or radar for that matter, is they send out little packets of information with little timestamps. And based upon when those packets are received, you know, bounce off the object and then come back, it then determines how long it took to get there and back.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the packet of information from the radar is having to go into this gravity bubble, its time would be messed up. And the system would then not be able to determine how far away it is.
Right, which is why as soon as I heard them say that, I was like, this is the same kind of situation that's happening on Skinwalker Ranch with the studies that they're doing with the LiDAR equipment, and how they're getting back returns that have anomalies above the ground and below the ground that don't make any sense, because the equipment's not even meant to do
unless
that.
There's a wormhole
like a wormhole. See, look, there's all these extra little things that could be tied into this.
Yeah.
But I thought that it was a really impressive study. They have a lot of different kinds of equipment. You know, I was also really impressed when Ronnie Vernet brought a whole bunch of equipment into the Amazon jungle and did his study there.
Yeah.
And now these guys are bringing equipment to Long Island, Fire Island. Shout out to NYC. And yeah, I thought it was really cool because they have the ability to rule out the mundane things like birds and planes and ships and balloons. Quest. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I highly recommend you go watch the Matt Ford show.
Same.
And go watch that full length interview. We will include the link in the description as always.
Right. Yes. Before we move on quickly, though, I want to talk about that second video where you had that luminous object and then the bright light that looked like it was like above or in the clouds. I thought it was really cool how like the little baby luminescent one like merged up into the...
All right, if you go back and watch that video, it really looks like to me that the light coming from the cloud is just a reflection of that luminous object.
Right.
And as the luminous object is getting closer to the clouds, you know, the reflection is brighter. I don't think there was two separate objects there that merged together. I think it was just the one going up closer to the clouds, and then it finally went through.
Well, that's what Matt said.
That's what it looks like to me.
That's what Matt inquired about.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was John or his brother. I think they're brother. They look like brothers. They have the same last name. I'm assuming they're brothers. One of them guys said that they analyzed it, and that like when you have, and our camera keeps flickering. I keep noticing that. We're using a brand new camera today, guys. So if you see anything weird going on with our camera flickering, just forgive us. We haven't worked out the little kinks of how to use this piece of equipment yet. But anyways, they said that they could tell like if there's a plane flying above the clouds and the light from the plane is shining down through, like they could see that. And they said that they didn't see anything like this? Like if it would be a reverse of the light shining upwards instead of a plane shining
All right,
downwards?
so it's definitely not landing lights on an airplane.
I'm not
That's for
saying
sure.
it's landing lights on an airplane.
No,
never mind.
I got what you're saying, but it's definitely not landing lights on an airplane. If it
That's not
were,
what I was saying.
you would see multiple landing lights.
I'm saying if there was a beam of light shining down, they said
Yes.
they would see that. So what I'm saying is if it was the opposite, where there was a beam of light shining up, they would then also see that, which they didn't. That's my point.
So what are your thoughts on Eye on the Sky and their scientific study of UAPs? Which one of those two videos did you find most compelling and why? Let us know in the comment section below.
Yes. Up next, AARO is under new command. Knapp and Corbell's take on Jon Kosloski. Last week, we did a story called AARO Ushers in Their New Director and Cuts Ties with Kirkpatrick, in which we introduced you to AARO's new director, Jon T. Kosloski. Well, this week, on a new episode of Weaponized, legendary UFO investigators George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell share their insider thoughts on Kosloski and what his role could mean for the future of UAP research. Let's take a look at that now.
Another development this week of interest to us and to our listeners for Weaponized is there's a new director of AARO. His name is Dr. Jon T. Kosloski. DOD also says that Sean Kirkpatrick is no longer a consultant to AARO. I might have a hard time believing that he's not going to give more interviews about the topic and dump cold water on it for the rest of his life. But he's not officially part of the program anymore. That's good. Dr. Jon Kosloski, I know we both have reached out to some people we know. What do they think? I've heard good things. I'm sure you have too. I would just caution folks that we heard the same thing about the interim director, right? We were told by somebody we trust really well, this is a good guy. This is Tim Phillips, good guy. Evidence to the contrary, right?
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. So, I mean, there you have like director of AARO, Tim Phillips, going on some LinkedIn post and just trying to disparage, information that has come forward to him. That's the problem. When we really look at it with AARO, is AARO, just really plainly, is AARO a counterintelligence operation where it's just trying to find out who knows what? Now, I'm not willing to say it at this time, but there is evidence to that fact that AARO is just a counterintelligence operation. It's sad. So I don't know, even if this new director of AARO is a good guy, and he's done a couple things. He's reached out to a couple people that make me think that at least he wants a better PR look at his organization. So I'm encouraged by a couple of the people that he's reached out to, but he might be kind of imprisoned within a mechanism called AARO that has a completely different agenda than what he might think upon taking that job. I don't know. So I'm not holding high hopes. We're not sending any witnesses to AARO. We are, kind of getting around AARO and getting people to other places to provide testimony at this time.
This is going to be one of those proof is in the pudding moments. I mean, show us. We're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He doesn't need our approval, obviously, but we're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Hope that the people who've told us he's a good guy and good for that job, we hope they're right. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, even George, if you had Project Blue Book back in the day, and instead of J. Allen Hynek, you put somebody else in his position, I mean, wouldn't it still be Project Blue Book with a mandate to do, to make it a laugh factory?
Yeah, it'd be like Dr. J. Allen Hynek working for Blue Book, no longer wanting to debunk everything, but being trapped in that system. And the only way to tell the truth of it, is to get out of it. So,
right.
We'll see.
And I think we might see that down the line. But either way, thankfully, there are other ways, like additional hearings, but even other ways to get information where it needs to go when it comes to the UAP issue. So, hey, man, look, let's see what happens. Proof is in the pudding. But even if somebody's a good guy, don't know if they're going to get outside of the constraints of their organization's mandate.
Very well said. Very well said indeed. I really like their take on it, and I agree with them.
Okay.
That, I mean, it appears from the outside looking in, it appears that AARO indeed is a counterintelligence operation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've even said it's like Project Blue Book 2.0.
2.0, yeah. And it's like, they're set up to find out who is willing to spill the beans.
or who knows
you know,
what, so that they can then like bury
mitigate
that.
those
Deal with
stories.
those.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like a nothing to see here, folks. Everything is explainable. Everything has a prosaic, mundane explanation. You know, and the things that we can't explain yet, it's just because we don't have enough data. We're not saying that it's aliens or UFOs or whatever. It's just that we don't have enough data to give you the prosaic explanation yet. You know, and that's what their whole, mode of operation has been since the start of it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, even like Jeremy just said, nobody trusts AARO. I mean, nobody's going to go to AARO with their story because they know they're not going to be treated well, and they know that it's not going to go anywhere. It's like, your story will go and die at AARO if you give it to them. So
hopefully, though, with this new director, hopefully he will change that. And,
I mean, yeah.
It remains to be seen what's going to happen. Whether or not he's going to step up to the plate and really hit this issue head on, or if he's going to do more of the same, just in a slightly different way.
I mean, Ross Coulthart has told us to be hopeful and to give this guy a chance.
Yep.
George and Jeremy just now seemed kind of meh, but hopeful about it. And then what was that interview we just watched that came out with Lou, where he was like, okay, we need to give Kosloski a chance and see what kind of work he'll do.
Yeah.
I forgot Lou's still doing interviews, you guys. He's still
we've been watching so many Lou Elizondo interviews.
I know, I can't remember which one it was on, but I know one of the most recent ones, he said that we should give Kosloski a chance and see what he does with the position that he's partaking. But that's not all, because I watched that Weaponized video live on YouTube, and obviously when it's live on YouTube, there's also a chat going on, right? So
I know what you're doing.
Yes, I'm about to flex a little piece, because there was a lot of really cool conversations that happened in that live chat, and it's like, unless you were there to see it, like, you missed it, right? So I don't know, I just kind of want to flex a little bit, and I want to give some shout outs to some people that are always hanging out and, just being really cool, kind, supportive people, showing the love all the time. And I don't know, I feel like we should just give some shout outs right now.
Let's
let's
do
that. All right, cool. So what's going to happen is we're going to share some back and forth conversation that happened in the live chat. He's going to read the Jeremy Corbell portions.
Okay.
I'm obviously going to read my portions, and we're going to leave out the tag name so that we don't have to keep saying at Hello Valley or at Jeremy Corbell. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Okay, so the first thing that I thought was kind of funny was that Jeremy Corbell mentioned supporting Lou Elizondo when his book came out by posting something on Twitter. Was a picture of him and Lou arm wrestling. So in the chat, Jeremy started this poll where he asked, who do you think won the arm wrestling matches between me and Lou Elizondo? And based on the results, where it was showing that 64% of the chat thought that Lou Elizondo won, I decided to kind of be a little smartass and say, I hope Jeremy Corbell's ego doesn't get bruised with this poll, LOL.
And Jeremy Corbell replied, ha 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 ha, well, I can only ask what the public thinks, but I personally know, ha ha ha, and Lou is a beast. So from that, you can infer that possibly Lou won. However, Corbell is no slouch himself.
Nah.
He owned a mixed martial arts studio for a very long time, a number of years. And I don't know, he's pretty cool.
Alrighty, and then the conversation moved on to the clip that we just showed you guys a second ago, where they were talking about Jon Kosloski being the new director of AARO and what they thought was going to happen. And basically, I just decided to say that AARO was full of dookie with a colorful emoji to do so.
Corbell's reply to that was, the internal mandate is horseshit. I'm sure there are some good folks at AARO, but they are stuck and being used.
Alrighty, and then I asked him if he thought Jon T. Kosloski was going to turn AARO around and basically start telling us the truth.
I don't think so, because of the constraints of the job, but I hear he's a good guy and eager to fix the disaster of the PR image that they have received. The way we do that is to stop lying.
Then I said back, yes, you're right. Hopefully Kosloski will turn things around with the finger cross emojis. And then at this point of the chat, I noticed that one of our longtime supporters, Terrence Wills, entered the chat. So I decided to tell him you rock, because he is always supporting us, always leaving super kind, super sweet comments. I see him in a bunch of different live chats, not just, vetted. It's like we find each other everywhere in all these different live chats. So
shout out Terrence.
Yes, definitely shout out Terrence.
Okay, so Terrence says, yo, hello, Allie, heart, heart, heart. You rock more. And Terrence himself got in on the action and said, Weaponized kicks ass. George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell are legends, with a bunch of heart emojis. Yay. And then Corbell replied to him saying thank you. and go UFO.
Go UFO.
And then Terrence says, hell yeah, Jeremy Corbell.
Woohoo! All right, next part of the conversation. Go ahead.
All right, Jeremy says, I hope you all notice all the horse shit that's going on with X right now and the divisive folks trying to divide you because they want attention. Do not let that slide. Call it out. We are united.
Yes, say it again.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I say back when I said, yes, X is a hot mess. If you know, you know.
And towards the end of the video, Jeremy had this to say. So glad you were all here. Please smash that like button like a UFO Hulk. And be sure to share it on social media. Cut clips and post. Let's get the word out. Yeah.
So, of course, I had to take my little opportunity and be like, I plan on featuring this video in the next UAP Society news show. Here we are. Look at that. I manifested this shit. Here we are.
All right. And then Jeremy says, nice. Hello, Allie. Excellent.
Yeah, I got permission from the man.
Yeah. So this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And then I said, shout out to Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp for kicking disclosure ass.
And his reply was, thank you. Hello, Allie.
There was also a couple of other people in that chat that are always present at the conversations we have online. So if you saw your name, make sure to shout yourself out in the comment section below. And of course, we always love interacting with you guys in these spaces. I always try to say what's up back. And yeah, let's just continue spreading the love around here.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's talk about what the whole point of this story was. And that is their opinion on Kosloski. So I thought it was really interesting that Jeremy called AARO a counterintelligence operation. Mm-hmm. I feel like that phrase has a lot of implication behind it, and it is not lost on me. And I hope it's not lost on you guys either. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this episode of Weaponized? Do you have high hopes for Kosloski? Did you see your name in that live chat? Make sure to join the UAP Society Discord server and share your thoughts with the community. An invite link can be found in the video description box below. Make sure to check that out. And when you arrive on the server, make sure to tag us and say what's up.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. Next on the docket, JFK, UFOs, and Trump, the files that could shock the nation. In a recent twist that no one saw coming, former President Donald Trump made waves when YouTuber Lex Fridman asked him a simple question about UFOs that took a sharp turn toward the mystery of JFK. What's the connection? And why did Trump promise to release both the UFO and JFK files? In this next clip from Cosmic Road, host Jack discusses just that.
Will Donald Trump release the UFO files? Now, Trump has said before that he would release the UFO files, and here he is saying that again.
Very interested in the footage of UFOs. The Pentagon has released a few videos, and there's been anecdotal reports from fighter pilots. So a lot of people want to know, will you help push the Pentagon to release more footage, which a lot of people claim is available?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I would do that. I'd love to do that. I have to do that. But they also are pushing me on Kennedy. And I did release a lot, but I had people come to me and beg me not to do it. But I'll be doing that very early on. But I would do that.
So there you go. He would do that, he says. He says he has to do it. Of course, then he immediately changes the subject to Kennedy. The two could be related, of course, and it'd be interesting if that's where his mind went, but it's probably just because those are files that should be released to the public, and the powers that be are covering both of those subjects up, whether they're related or not. I've told you before what I think about why they are covering up the JFK situation, because a certain powerful government entity is involved. And, certainly multiple powerful government agencies and entities are covering up the UFO things. Are the two related? I don't know. And I seriously doubt that Trump will even be able to release the UFO files. I don't think any president has the power to do that. I honestly don't. No matter what their intentions are, I don't think they have the power. I don't think any of them have been fully read into the situation, barring perhaps, the presidents that may or may not have dealt directly with the beings. We're talking about Ike. We're talking about possibly Truman. If any of that actually happened, then of course they would have been fully read in. But anybody after that, I don't think has been read in to the full deal. They may have been shown something at the level of what Harry Reid and Tom Wilson were shown, where they were kind of shown into the foyer and of the control group, and somebody admitted that they had some stuff, and that's about as far as it went. But time will tell, guys. Time will tell. The proof is in the pudding.
That's the third time we've heard the proof is in the pudding, because Knapp said it first, then Corbell said it.
Yeah.
Now Jack is saying
it. Yeah. We highly recommend you go watch Jack's full show. It was a good one for sure. I always like watching them.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's interesting, though. That's the third time that they've said the proof is in the pudding.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Maybe some kind of conspiracy there.
I don't know. But Ross Coulthart also commented on this when he tweeted, "Interesting how when Donald Trump was asked about UFOs, he started talking about JFK." Now, we've had this conversation on the show before about JFK and the UFO files, and apparently everybody else has too. I'm thinking that when Trump's brain starts thinking about UFO files, it automatically correlates to the JFK files because they're related.
Connected.
They're related. They're related. They're related. They're related. So yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that that's where his brain went.
I wonder if that's one way that they scare the presidents into not talking about it. They're like
scare tactic, like,
they're like,
what
look,
happened to JFK?
Look what we did to JFK. So if you start talking about this, same thing's going to happen to you.
Ooh,
right?
I don't know.
It could be like, look, you really don't have the power.
They scare tactic everybody else, so I wouldn't be surprised. But then would they talk about it so openly if that's how it went down? I don't think so. I don't think they would talk about it so casually like that if that's how it happened. They'd probably have some kind of trauma behind it. Yeah, like they would be scared to mention it because of what happened to them. But anyways, we're getting a little too far down the track.
Trump is one of those people that you can't readily control him.
He's definitely unhinged.
Very much so. So I could
definitely
see him.
I would love to do it. I have to do it. Yeah, I would totally do it.
That was
my Trump impression. How was that?
Yeah. But you're taking away from what I'm trying to say.
Sorry, go ahead.
Trump is definitely one of those people that you can't really control him.
No.
You just tell him one thing, he's going to go do the other.
Yeah.
Just to spite you. I don't know. He's always been like that. So I could definitely see him talking about it, even though they told him not to.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know.
That's fair.
That's just
fair.
my opinion, though.
I also feel the need to bring up my little 2024 unknowns calendar situation over here, where we're talking about the coup de grace. I don't know. I just feel like there's a connection between that and him. I'm not saying he's going to be the next president, nor am I saying I want him to be the next president. All I'm saying is that I think those two things can be related, because the part that Matthew Pine said, everybody knows this person, is what really is like solidifying it in my brain. But I could be wrong, and it could be somebody else.
McMaster just came out talking about UFOs on an interview, and on Twitter, I forgot who tagged Matthew Pines, but this person asked him specifically if McMaster is the coup de grace, and Matthew Pine said no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's
there
not.
we go. But
it's not McMaster's.
So but nobody, I wouldn't say everybody knows who McMaster's is. So why would anybody think that? It didn't tell you guys. The whole everybody knows this person thing is what's selling this for me. But anyways, I feel like I'm getting a little too.
We're digressing.
Yeah. All right. So let's just close this up. So yeah, he said it. He said what he said. I would love to do it. I would totally do it. I have to do it. Anyway, so what are your thoughts on Trump's cryptic remarks? What are the potential bombshells behind these long hidden secrets? I think that's why there's anyways. All right. So could the answers to UFOs and one of America's greatest mysteries be closer than we think? Let us know what you think in the comment section below.
And last but not least, the countdown begins. James Fox's The Program is Coming. Get ready, UFO enthusiasts. Renowned filmmaker James Fox is back with his most anticipated documentary yet, The Program, and it finally has an estimated release date. Known for groundbreaking films like The Phenomena and Moment of Contact, Fox has cemented himself as a leading voice in uncovering the truth behind UFOs. His latest film promises to be the ultimate deep dive into government secrets and hidden encounters. As Robert Hastings, author of UFOs and Nukes, says, The Program is everything we expect from one ufological filmmaker who arguably has no peer.
Okay. And on X, X, user Wow tweeted, new documentary, the program, estimated release date subject to change, late October or early November. And that's coming from Fox himself. That's coming from Fox himself. Late October, early November. So fingers crossed that happens.
Yeah. And on YouTube, Ryan from Post Disclosure World also expressed his sentiments on this event. Let's take a look at that.
In this video, I will give you an update on James Fox's upcoming documentary, The Program. James ain't messing around. He even said that he would twist himself into a pretzel if necessary to get this doc released in the fall. In that light, let's cover some of his tweets from September 1st. A quick update on release. We are 99% sure an additional executive producer stepped forward, wants to remain anonymous, and will put up the $200,000 needed to release the program fully independently. Trailer should be done in about a week to 10 days. Artwork and metadata starts this week, as does the QC process, quality control, I assume, through an aggregator. I will keep you all posted. I will bend myself into a pretzel if needed to release the documentary this fall. Later, he was asked explicitly when his documentary will drop, and his response was late October or early November. So as of now, we have about 2 months to go. Here he goes into some of the expenses he's dealing with. This is only half of what we have to pay for the trailer, and it doesn't include the score, which is another $5 to $10K. Then we have public relations firm, social media, ad space, a whole team for 2 months to provide the support needed to do this right. We got this. From that tweet, it looks like the trailer will set him back over $50,000. And here is a review by the foremost expert on the UFO and New Connection. James Fox's new film, The Program, is everything we expect from the one ufological filmmaker who arguably has no peer. One could watch dozens of newscasts and podcasts to get a sense of where we are and where we seem to be going, or just watch The Program. Robert Hastings, the author of UFOs and Nukes. I love this review. It's really difficult to have a grasp of how far we've come if you haven't been following all the updates along the way. Fox's upcoming film, The Program, will apparently crystallize not only what the current state of affairs are with the disclosure process, but also where we seem to be headed. Fox has publicly stated that he has spoken with first-hand witnesses, some of whom are no longer employed, and others who are still working either within the U.S. government or as contractors for the government. That's really significant to me.
All right, guys, so referring back to my 2024 unknown calendar again, we finally have somewhere to put this James Fox upcoming documentary on the calendar. We don't have an exact date yet. It's not exactly pinned down to a date. However, we have like a general-ish idea. And honestly, I mean, it could come out as early as next month.
That would be amazing.
Next month.
Yeah.
That would be dope. That would definitely be dope. I know I'm looking forward to watching this. I've enjoyed every single one of James Fox's films that I've watched. And the Moment of Contact, I feel like, was probably the biggest, most impactful one for me.
Yes, yeah, to date, anyway. I'm definitely, like you, looking forward to it, and I can't wait for it to come out.
Same.
Yeah, and when it does, we will definitely let you know about it. And bring it here.
Show. And if you would like to check out any of the tweets or videos that you've seen tonight, as always, links can be found in the video description box below, along with all the other sources featured in the show in the order that they appear. So make sure to check that out. And anytime we feature anybody's show or clip of their YouTube channel, we always recommend for you guys to go and check that channel out and subscribe to that YouTube creators, just so that we can all give each other love and stay in the know and support everybody that's talking about this. So please do that. Go to all the different channels that we feature in the show and make sure to subscribe to those guys and show them some love. And hey, you might even want to mention where you came from if you're new to that place. So that would be cool too.
Absolutely. And that concludes this week's UAP Society's UAP UFO News Show. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. And while you're here, do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave us a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word.
Let's raise the collective consciousness together in unity.
All right, much love.
Much love.
Peace and namaste.